The U.S. dollar posting its worst week since June, with Bloomberg's dollar index showing the greenback on course for its steepest yearly drop since 2017. Lots of questions around debasement. Bloomberg's Skylar Montgomery Koning joins us now. And Skylar, thank you so much for being with us. Before we get to the dollar and the path ahead, I'm curious your view on how much you consider gold and silver when discussing whether we are seeing truly a debasement trade take hold.
Yeah, I think the one place that you can see investors really pivot away from the dollar is in COFR data. So central bank reserves have pivoted away from the US dollar, but it's not landed in one currency specifically because there is no clear alternative, which is the issue. Now, I bring this up because there's also been a pivot into gold, and I think that's increased enthusiasm for assets generally that are more out of the norm. And for the dollar, it's not a big impact because it's a small flow, but for gold, it is very much a big flow relative because it's a smaller market. So I think it's definitely symptomatic of that trade, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have big dollar downside because COFR reserves, the share for the dollar has been declining for something like 2 decades now, and you've had big cyclical dollar bull markets in that period. So it's a small flow for the US dollar, especially as it still dominates trade flows, it still dominates financial flows, but it's a big flow for gold.
How much is a weakening dollar a consensus trade heading into 2026?
I think it's more mixed than maybe the headline numbers tell you. What you tend to see actually is at the beginning of the year, if there's not a strong bias, you tend to have consensus go towards dollar weakness. And that's because you've had dollar overvaluation on a number of metrics for a very long time now. Now, I think the issue is those metrics is they don't take into account productivity gains. And so on that measure, you'd say valuations should have a structural break higher because the US has been more productive than a lot of its developed market peers. So I think, when there isn't a clear bias, as we had at the beginning of last year, which was actually for dollar strength, you tend to see dollar weakness come out as the favored trade at the beginning of the year and year ahead outlooks.